first of all, I did a lot of the background voices of screaming, "Oh no, it's a ghost!" Ah! And in the restaurants, and also some crazy ghosts. Ah!
Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to The Disconnected. I'm here with the Wizard Master himself, Mr. Ira Heiden. How we doing, Ira?
Peachy, man. Everything is good.
Loving the shirt. For those that haven't seen it, Fright Rags recently did a couple of really cool shirts commemorating Dream Warriors. We just recently had the what was it, 35th anniversary, right?
Last year, 35.
And speaking of that, on Ira's YouTube channel, which will be linked in the description below, he's got a whole bunch of one-on-one questions with everybody that's in the cast. It was a great time, it looked like.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
stoked to see those.
Good times. Lots of good times. It's crazy that we're still talking about this 35 years later. Well, now 36. So
Well, I mean, that's probably the best place to start since we're highlighting it on your shirt and everything. Dream Warriors is kind of the biggest thing that everybody still refers to you from. So, I mean, with a giant franchise like Nightmare, how does it feel 36 years later to be basically a part of the fan favorite of the series?
it's like a dream, no pun intended, come true. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. Like, honestly, when I was making this movie, I was like in my 20s and uh, had no idea. I mean, I knew we stumbled upon something special.
Right.
I knew that it was such a great movie. If you think about like just the premise of how everybody gets together in a psychiatric ward and how we're fighting two demons. We're fighting the doctors who are telling us we need to sleep, and then we're fighting that damn guy
Right.
Freddy who wants to kill us in our dreams. So it was really special, and to get to bond with Robert and Nancy, Heather Langenkamp, and all the Dream Warriors and everything. It's been nothing but really a dream come true. And 35, 36 years later, it's somehow I feel like it's even stronger than it was before.
Honestly, I would kind of agree with that. It feels like since, not to malign the remake or anything like that, but since the remake, everybody's come out kind of more like passionately about those original first 3 to 5 of them, and probably New Nightmare. But yeah, it seems like everybody's just foaming at the mouth for another good entry into the series, and that's who knows if that'll ever happen. But yeah, it's beloved for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of talk about, do we remake Nightmare 3? There's also some things where we may be talking about doing something again with Chuck Russell. So I can talk about it. I mean, can't talk about it. So
Well, and that's one of the other things, you were talking about yourself being very young. There are a lot of semi big names related to this film that this was their first big thing. I mean, this was Patricia's first film. This was Chuck Russell's first directing effort. I'm sure you didn't get to interact much with Darabont, but this is Frank Darabont's first writing credit, I believe, too.
how crazy is that?
Right. I mean, that's to come together to this. It's when you look back at it, it's a remarkable list.
Yeah, and it's not Lawrence Fishburne's biggest movie.
Somehow.
That's
Somehow.
right. I remember working with him and thinking, oh my God, this dude was in one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, Fishburne is special. He's done so many great things. And every time I go back and watch that, and I was going to reveal in a few minutes, but I had my favorite Nightmare experience of my life, actually, this last October. The local theater here played the first 8 films back to back. And it was a great day, and it was wonderful to get away from the kids and everything. But the funniest part of the day is I had a friend drive in from St. Louis that had only ever seen Freddy versus Jason. So somehow I got to sit next to him responding to the first 7 films just off the cuff, never seeing them, and he was blown away.
See, that's awesome. That's great. I just wanted to jump back really quick about how cool Lawrence Fishburne is. Just the nicest guy. I run into him if it's at Bristol Farms or if we see each other at a convention, which we haven't yet. He's just the super nicest guy in the whole wide world. Now to jump back about what you're saying is, one of the things that we got to do, which was so cool, we went to a convention in Chicago, I want to say about 8 years ago. And Saturday night, they played Dream Warriors and they gave us microphones. So we got to interact with the movie as it was going on. And that
Nice.
was really cool because it just, watching it, it just brought up all the memories of all the stuff that we were doing at that time. It's like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, right before that we had spaghetti when Philip did his sleepwalk. So it was pretty cool.
So with Chuck Russell, that's kind of a big one. This was his first directing effort. Did it feel very fresh for him? Did he feel like a natural at that point for you?
I think so. Taking direction from him was a breeze. First of all, I mean, I just had to be me because I used to play Dungeons and Dragons. I was really into that character, and who you see on the screen is me, a younger version of who I am. And so that was the easy part. I didn't have to really stretch and try too hard. But Chuck, to me, he was like my father figure on set.
Yeah.
Such a cool guy. Really nice, and got along with him so well. His directions were really easy. I didn't feel like he yelled at us or screamed at. He took care of the Dream Warriors.
That's good. And with this film in particular in the series, it feels like there's that gelling effect. It really feels like everybody was sort of just their own group. So it felt very natural to see it on screen. Like they're actually friends, like they actually came together. And did it feel like that off screen for you too?
Well, I think one of the things that made that actually come together was after we all got cast in the movie, about a week and a half before or 2 weeks before we started filming, we all met in Westwood on a Sunday and had brunch. So we're
Nice.
all talking to each other. And then afterwards, we walked over to this movie theater called the Avco. And right above it, one of his best friends, had a studio flat there. So we all got to read the script together. And,
Nice.
and Chuck taped it. And so we all did it together finally, which was great, which is also another thing we did for Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, which also was super cool. But it was really felt like that to me was the bonding experience, because I think we got a little feel of all of our characters. Terrence, she's so fucking mean to me, and Kincaid, lay off, I mean, it was just really cool. Bradley, it was a lot of fun. So I think that helped set the stage for the filming and group therapy, and how we all banded together to kick the demon's ass.
Well, that demon in particular, it's kind of an odd thing looking back on it now with 36 years of hindsight, because I don't think we're ever really going to have a horror film villain kind of penetrate the zeitgeist like Freddy did. I obviously was a little bit younger. I'm not going to remember exactly how much he was infiltrating then. How did it feel to be a part of something that, Freddy was kind of everywhere? And again, for people that don't understand, in the 80s, Freddy was on like video games, Freddy was on cereal boxes, Freddy was doing late night TV, Freddy got his own TV show. I mean, Robert Englund was everywhere in this mask.
And deservingly so. I
Yeah.
mean, what? First of all, what a great actor the man is.
Yeah.
You sit down with him at dinner, and he'll have conversations with you about everything and anything. The man is super smart, and I think they marketed Freddie so well. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
why not? Why not plaster him all over the
Yep.
place? Music videos, Freddie Nightmares, like you said, that TV show, which they wouldn't let me audition for, unfortunately. Sorry, Ira, you already were in the movie. You can't audition, but I'm an actor. I can act different.
Exactly.
But they wouldn't let me go back. But yeah, I mean, his marketing was phenomenal. I mean, all over the place, and it was great. And honestly, I think you couldn't ask for a better Freddy Krueger. Yeah, he was just super.
And that legacy, it seemed to have followed a lot of the people from this franchise, obviously. And now we see that primarily with conventions and a lot of people coming up to you, I'm sure, wanting to be a part of things and just to have the experience of meeting you. Any fun stories from the convention circuit over the last handful of years? Because it
Oh,
seems like you're doing quite a lot of them.
yeah, last year was like we were on a rock and roll tour. You know, it was like the 35th anniversary. We hit Burbank, California. We hit Dallas, Texas. Hello, Texas Frightmare. We hit Monster Mania in Pennsylvania. We hit oh God, what was the one in Manchester, England? So we had a great tour. I mean, it was crazy, and it was so great to see all the fans. And I'm just hoping the 40th will be just as good, if not better. Um, the conventions are such a blessing in disguise. I mean, again, going back to the day that I started working on this movie, if you had told me this many years later I'm going to be going to conventions, they're going to fly me into these states and they're going to put me up in a hotel and I'm going to sign autographs for fans and talk about this movie, I would have been crazy. You had to pinch me. Um, they've been wonderful. I mean, the fans are super cool. There are some kind of creepy ones that do come up and they're like, welcome to prime time, bitch. I'm like, okay, let me just sign to who? What's your name again? And then there's the ones that are just super sweet and super happy and just thankful to be there. There are some that are like so nervous,
Yeah.
so nervous to be there, and then they drop their stuff everywhere. I'm like, hey, I'm a normal person. Let's just have fun here. But honestly, there was one guy, Ryan, that there was a convention in Oklahoma, and he was a little teenager, or might have been in his 20s, but he kind of sat near my booth, but not too close, and just stared for like 2 days. I said hello to him, just stared. So you get the plethora of fans here.
I was waiting for some sort of punchline, like he's your biggest fan or something like that.
I was waiting too, but he just never said anything.
Well, you've done all kinds of stuff other than Dream Warriors. Are people coming up to you for being with Elvira? You were in Father of the Bride. There's all kinds of stuff that's on that resume.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I even signed like an Alias CD because I did 7 episodes on that show. Who I
Yeah.
got to work with, Terry O'Quinn,
Oh wow, we just talked about him on the channel the other day.
the stepfather.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he was huge. And so when I first got to work with him, I was like, oh, I was so excited. I think I was that nervous guy. Hi, Terry. Um, and so, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Alias. Yeah, there's been Father of the Bride was with Steve Martin and my favorite comedian of all time.
Yeah.
Got to say to him, my first line is "Excuse me, sir." So I tried to be funny and in rehearsal, I said it as loud as I could, "Excuse me." Timing, Ryan, timing is the key to comedy, and it's not at 7 a.m. and it's not
That
during
makes sense.
rehearsal. But Steve kind of smirked and we went on. But yeah, I mean, I've been blessed. Elvira, Cassandra Peterson is super cool. Um, you know, I'd be getting to work at 5 a.m. and she's blasting Guns N' Roses out of her trailer
Nice.
at 5 a.m. Super sweet girl. She's just awesome girl.
And
She's
you're still fairly close friends with her, right?
Yes, I am. We text each other with jokes every now and then, and yeah, we're trying to get this. I was telling you earlier, we're trying to get this thing together this year out in LA of showing of the movie. But before, a bunch of us will talk about it that we're in the movie, and we'll sign autographs and fun things like that. So, trying to get
It's
into
nice.
Monster Palooza, but I don't know if that'll happen.
Yeah, well, and I think they do two of those every year, right? They do the Monster Palooza and Son of Monster Palooza. So, hey,
Yeah,
maybe one or the other.
exactly.
Um, Elvira has, continued to have relevance today, and it's nice. She had that recent Netflix thing that she was doing. The book obviously was huge for her, so
Right.
it's nice to see everything still, keeping the band together with you guys and remaining close. It's nice.
Seriously, there's a bunch of people from that movie that I still do keep in touch with. One for sure, Chris Cam, um, and I have no idea what happened to Scott. I have no idea what happened to Ellen. We were like the kids in the town. But yeah, it was that was. I mean, honestly, every movie I've done has been a ton of fun. I've never been fired from any movies. I pretty much stay close to everybody. I always keep in touch. Like I did this little movie. I don't know if you've seen it, Brian, called Zapped Again. Um,
Long time ago.
that's right. It was the sequel to the Scott Baio Willie Ames movie. Um, and to this day, I still keep in touch with Todd Eric Andrews. I still keep in touch with Reed Rudy. His kid is in the same grade as my kid. We go to the same school. So, um, yeah, and Kelly Williams also, she was a part of that. So I like keeping in touch with everybody.
Well, and you're close friends with a lot of people. You got, I'll just say the word rad, and a lot of people watching this will get excited. You got one of your closest friends is in that, right?
Bill Allen. Yes, sirree. Crew Jones. One of the coolest human beings alive. Oh my God, lots of fun stories with him. Yeah, so I mean, he and I were in an acting class together. We had the same manager when I first moved out to LA. This woman, Marilyn Sherman, who found Jimmy Smits and Forrest Whitaker, Ira Heiden, Bill Allen. And so Bill and I became super good friends, and yeah, we're working on many projects together, and he's like doing this huge rad tour. You know how like I had 1 year, like the 35th
Yeah.
anniversary. Yay! No, rad just keeps going on. It's out of style.
Rad has been crazy ever since it got that updated 4K release from Vinegar Syndrome. Everybody's rabid for Rad lately.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I think they're working to get it onto like Netflix, kind of like how Cobra Kai is. They're trying to get the rad show.
That would
I
be pretty
just want to
rad.
see that dancing scene again with Lori Loughlin and Bill. I mean, that was just so great.
Got to see her make a cameo at
Oh yeah,
least.
exactly.
Well, one of the other things we were talking about another project and another friend of yours, and I got to ask for some memories of this one. Just a legend of so many different ideas. A family legend, obviously, but the tragic story of Brandon Lee. Brandon was fairly close to you, from what I hear.
Yeah, man. If you knew Brandon, his laugh, his smile, his jokingly ways, um, he was just such a cool cat. And we used to play a lot of racquetball together. We went mountain bike riding together. Yeah, and that's Bill's best friend. So
Yeah.
through Bill, I met Brandon and got to do 4 years of some awesome hanging out time. Um, he would kick my ass all the time in racquetball. I mean, like he would start giving me points, and I'd get 10 points, and I'd still lose 21-11. But he went away for 3 weeks to go work on rapid fire, and I practiced every day. When he came back, I finally beat him. So that was cool. But yeah, Brandon was such a wonderful person, and it really sucks. We're coming up to the 30th anniversary. So crazy, 30 years of that night.
It's also not to be dour about it, but the last couple of years and everything that's been going on with the New Mexico thing, it's brought a lot of just wondering how we could be in that place again. There's so many.
How does that happen?
I don't get it, especially with this one nowadays. With the internet and them logging things, we see that there was a lot more hands on these things than even back in the 90s, and
Yep.
it should not have been possible.
Yeah, exactly a lot more hands than back in the 90s with a non-union crew and a night shoot and an added scene and go on. But we are working also with Bill, and I are working on a documentary about Brandon, and it's going to be coming out probably either next year or so. And you just have a lot of friends that talk just the greatest times with him, and also his manager and agents and publicists and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's something to be looking out for when that comes out, because you'll hear a lot of great people. John Lee Hancock, Melissa Etheridge, just talking great stories. Lou
I
Diamond
feel like
Phillips.
wow. I feel like finally people are like getting nostalgic for The Crow, and it's getting a little more attention now than it was even 10 years ago. So
Yeah.
it's just nice.
Ernie, who is in Ghostbusters, he was in The
Ernie
Crow.
Hudson.
Thank you, Ernie Hudson. So I got to meet him at one of these conventions. And again, going back to one of the coolest things, in fact, when you go to these conventions, you get to meet
Yeah.
a lot of people that you haven't seen in a long time or never met before. And so he was really nice. It was great to talk to him. And I got to tell him little fun stories about Brandon.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like a lot of these physical media releases, that's on this channel, I talk a lot about the actual physical movies, where we're getting some of the maybe most important gift aspect of some of these, because we're losing a lot of those stars and friends and memories that have been instilled upon us over the last
Right.
50 years. And you get people like Franco Nero, who made Django in 1966, who's still alive and telling stories about it, and we're losing more of those voices. So it's nice to capture them as much as we can and put them on disc.
It's funny that you say that, because I was just texting a good friend of mine this morning, Steve Lukather, who is the guitarist for Toto, touring all the time with Ringo Starr. I don't know if you know that guy. He's a drummer or something for some band.
I think I've heard of him, yeah.
But he was saying just how, like, the last 5 years, he lost like 80 musicians,
God.
friends, family. And like you said, man, everything is going by so fast. So yeah, you got to get as much as you can now and get all the knowledge before it passes by, and it goes by fast.
Yeah, and it's not just the 90 minutes of Rad that's great. It's all of the stories that made up Rad. It's all of the people that are a part of Rad. It's the community that was built because of Rad. And stuff like Dream Warriors and Rad and The Crow had some rabid fan bases that were attached to them.
Yeah, absolutely. But where would we be without the fans? It's like it's what makes everything so special and worth going on for.
Right. Well, speaking of Ernie Hudson, you were a part of something with the Ghostbusters franchise recently,
Oh
too.
yeah, that's right. I did voice work on that Ghostbusters Afterlife. First of all, I did a lot of the background voices of screaming, "Oh no, it's a ghost!" And in the restaurants, and also some crazy ghosts. But one of the best jobs in the world was to get to be directed by Jason Reitman to be the mini Stay Puft characters, Marshmallow characters. Yeah, I think I voiced like 5 or 6 of the different ones. So we spent 3 hours of just, a lot of fun, and just cracking Jason up and just having it. I don't know how you call it work. It's just,
Right.
to get to be creative and get paid for it too.
It's
It's
kind of the
kind of
dream.
crazy. Yeah.
And then on top of that, I mean, you're in multiple of like the most iconic franchises now.
Yeah, I mean that's also pretty cool. God, I'm a cool person. That's
You
why they
really
pick
are.
me. That's why they pick me. Yeah, I mean, gosh, Nightmare. You've got Father of the Bride. You've got Elvira. You've got Ghostbusters. A couple of really cool stuff, and some little things too, like Family Ties. I got to be on that show with Michael J. Fox. Uh, you know, Step by Step.
Yeah, Step by
So,
Step is a big one for me.
yeah, a lot of
Oh, and didn't you do an episode of Family Matters too?
Family Matters as well. Yes, Jim Gagan, great writer, great writer. He was one of the writers and producers on the show, and he brought me in, and so I got to be on that Urkel show.
That is probably, I would have to ask her if she's ashamed of it, but I think it's my wife's favorite TV show of all time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she loves that show.
I like it.
Other than that, what else is going on with Ira nowadays?
Just chasing around for the next job. I just did a small part on a TV show called All Rise, which is on the Oprah Winfrey Network. So you could check that out. And I may have some other parts coming up on a show called Lincoln Lawyer, Season 2.
Nice.
Yeah, so I get to work with Neff Campbell, which is fun. And I ran into her at a convention as well. And I said,
I
David
imagine
Arquette's
so.
my buddy. Nice to meet you. So I had to take a picture with her. Show
I
David.
just got a picture with her too in Pasadena last year.
Really?
Yeah, when I went
Wait.
down there with Brian. Yeah.
So wait, were you guys at Son of Monster Palooza? Oh, wait,
We
you
were
were
at
at
Monster
Monster.
Palooza.
See,
Yeah.
we didn't get to do Monster. We did Son of Monster Palooza,
Yeah.
which was in October.
Yeah. I could only come out in June, but it worked out perfectly. I managed to hit everything I possibly could. I went to a Dodgers game. I went and saw Everything Everywhere All at Once at the Chinese Theater on
Oh,
Hollywood
nice.
Boulevard. It was just a wonderful week-long trip for me.
Can you imagine editing that movie?
No, and I was baffled watching the Oscars this year going, how can anybody look at any other movie and go, this is not the one that should win?
There's no way. There's no
Right.
way. If that did not win Best Editing, hands down, there's something wrong. Somebody needed to get slapped. Oh wait, I didn't.
Any other cons coming up that people should look out for you?
Well, as a matter of fact, I think I will be hitting up Days of the Dead in August in LA, and I think in November in Chicago.
Nice.
But it's tentative. We're waiting for that year end. So
There's way more cons than people know about. I think a lot of people know about like the 3 or 4 big ones and not understanding that there's tiny ones in Michigan, and there's one here in Kansas City just for horror. There's one here that just passed Planet Comic Con that's pretty big as well. So
yeah,
there's cons pretty
there's
much
one in
everywhere.
Seattle that I want to go to called Emerald City, I think.
Mm.
Or no, Crypticon. Is it Crypticon? But
Yeah, there is a Crypticon Seattle for sure.
okay, so that's it. Yeah, not Emerald City. What am I talking about? That's in Batman. That's in Gotham. Emerald City.
I just met Ken, your co-star from Dream Warriors, at Crypticon Kansas City a few years ago.
Very good. Yeah, Ken's the best, man. I have a small interview with him also on that
Yep,
on that YouTube channel.
wearing your scarves.
That's correct, and it's because of him that I got mine. Because he and Rodney and Robert always wear their scarves when they're there. I always deemed the Dream Warriors shirt, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna finally get one, and I did. I got a fan to make one for me, which was cool.
Well, and now, I mean, Fright Rag's doing it. That had to be pretty damn surreal.
Yeah, I mean, it's really awesome. I mean, and I remember they did it like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and I think I got a shirt, but then I lost it. So when they came out with one, I was like, I'm buying one right now. And then I wrote them and said, hey, this is the Wizard Master just thanking you. And they're like, oh my God. Okay, we're gonna send you the Dream Warrior shirt, we're gonna send you another Wizard Master shirt, we're gonna send you a sweatshirt, so they
Nice.
were super cool. And I love plugging them and I love wearing their stuff. So buy your
Yeah.
Fright Rags now.
Well, speaking of, as we're recording this, it's over by the time it's posted, but they have a sale going on right now. So I hope more people pay attention, because
That's
Fright
right,
Rags
Ryan. For $20.99, you can get the Dream Warriors.
they've exploded over the last decade. They started very small and now they're kind of everywhere.
Yeah, kind of like that thing Amazon.
Well, Ira, I know that you got
Yes.
places to go and people to see, so thank you so much for your time today. This has been amazing. I love having you on here.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that we made it work out. And just remember, Ryan, whatever you do, don't fall asleep.